Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my my journey from about my anaplastic meningioma, grade three. Um, this is part three. Before we go into it, I just want to say a big, huge, heartfelt thank you to everybody who's commented, shared, liked all over the social media sites that I put them on, the TikTok, Facebook, and the YouTube. It's been I'm just totally overwhelmed, and I just want to say massive thank you to everybody. So here we go, part three, the meeting of neurosurgeon and the team at the Walton Centre. It was on Thursday, the 30th of October, 2 days after my 55th birthday. 55, I know I don't look it. And we travelled there. Steph, my daughter, came and picked us up, and we travelled there with her car and got there. As you go in, the main entrance is to the left, and there's a small car park there. Luckily enough, we managed to get a space there, which was great. So we went in there, parked up, and our appointment was at 9:30 on that day. So we got there pretty handy, possibly about quite handy actually. It was about 10:45 we got there, and there's an on-site cafe, so I'm pretty sure that we went and got a sausage butty, sausage sandwich. As we walked in, we seen the reception area. I asked the reception, where do we go for? It was outpatients that we needed, so we went to outpatients. So the appointment came, I didn't tell you this, the appointment came through by letter and email and text message, so I got everything. So it was all Thursday, the 30th of October, 9:30, just to make that clear to you. Went to reception, asked where outpatients was. They pointed us in the right direction, and we went down to outpatients. In outpatients, there's it's really quite big for an outpatients department. There's lots of seating. It's not overly busy. It's quite calming actually. When you go in there, and there's either a self check-in, or there's two windows if you're not sure how to do it, and they'll check you in there. So we checked in. I think I used the window. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. And then it was literally take a seat and you'll be called. So let me just sit properly. So we did take a seat, and where you sit, whichever way you look, forwards or backwards, there's a big, huge TV screen, and it's got all the rooms on there. All the rooms on there with all the surgeons or all the health professionals who are in them rooms. And I spotted it, room 6, Mr. Lawson. I knew it was from Mr. Lawson, and on time. So we weren't in room 6. We were in the waiting room. We found out it was room 6. So of course we just swap seats basically. So we're a little bit closer to room 6, and we could see it. So we could just a bit easier to get to when we were called. Now we were watching room 6 for around about 20 minutes, and what I noticed was lots and lots and lots of people going in there. Well, I say lots, yeah, there was a lot of people going in there. So I thought, okay, it's a central hub. That's where everybody starts their meeting. There's a few people coming out, more going in, a few coming out. And then not as many came out. And then we got called. And I'm like, oh my God, maybe there's a room inside the room, because we couldn't see in the room. We just knew where the room was, and we could see people going into the room. So we thought maybe there's a room inside the room, and that's where we were going. So another reception in I suppose. So as we entered the room, no, it wasn't. It was a really, really small room, and quite overwhelming as you entered. I had Mr. Lawson, who introduced himself to us. Then he introduced a clinical lead nurse, who introduced herself as, I'm pretty sure she introduced herself as clinical lead nurse, oncology nurse. nothing registered at this point. Then sat just at the left of me was physiotherapy. Still no bells ringing, anything like that. I haven't. Then at the back of Mr. Lawson was a student nurse, and at the side of me, next to the oncology nurse and the physiotherapy, was another student nurse. So you had Mr. Lawson, I nearly called him Lawson there, Mr. Lawson, the lead nurse, the physiotherapist, 2 student nurses, that's 5. Then there was me, 6. Julie came in, my wife, and Steph came in. So 8 of us in there. So 8 of us in a small room. And I'm like, wow, this could be serious. This is looking serious. What? I've not told you this before. I've never, ever, ever in my whole life of 55 years spent a night in hospital overnight. Ever. Never. So this is my first time in hospital, knowing that I'm probably going to have an operation. But not absolutely sure. So, like I said, Mr. Lawson introduced himself, and his first question to me, he was talking to me while everybody else was writing, listening. Julie and Steph just there for my support. What's brought you here today, Graham? And I went, I just lump on my head. He sort of had a little smirk, a giggle, a laugh, or whatever. In what circumstances? Why did you come? What made you come today? What made you start from the lump? And I went, and then I told her the story of finding the lump, not really looking too serious at it, not getting it checked for about 2 to 3 months from June to October. Actually, it was October, beginning of October, seeing the doctor. Doctors sent me for CT, MRI, and now I had the choice of Walton Hospital, Chester, or Salford. Picked Walton, and here I am today. Okay. And the conversation was a little bit like that. So he said, at this point, I'll show you the pictures. Hopefully, I'll be able to put them on. He showed me the picture of my scan. And as you'll be able to see, the lump is quite noticeable. And it also looks like it penetrated through my skull, or it definitely invaded my skull. So the pictures I'll put on are the side view where you can see the lump coming through the skull up to my scalp, and top view where you can see it as well. So you'll get the size of it and you'll get the height of it in that way. So that was the basic conversation. He's told me everything I needed to know. He thinks he's pretty sure it's a meningioma, and he thinks it's benign, possibly grade 1, possibly. He thinks it's grade 1, possibly grade 2, just on looking at it and what he sees in the results. It's invaded my SSS, which is the superior sagittal sinus, which, as I explained in the last video, if you've watched it, the vein that goes from the front of your head to the back of your head, into your spine. It was pushing on that, basically. And he said, it's got to be removed. We've got to get it out. Within the month. Wow, shock, horror. This could be serious. But at this stage, it's what we thought it might be, a meningioma, because I've seen the results. Again, he's confirmed he thinks it's also grade 1. Now, the grading system, grade 1 is sat. It could have been there years and years and years, sat dormant, and giving you and really, really, really slow growing, if at all. Grade 2 is slightly quicker growing. And it's usually a watch and wait. If there's no symptoms, then sometimes they won't remove until symptoms happen. So the only symptom I had was the lump. So for him to say, I think we're going to remove this, I think the reason for that was because it was sat on the vein. So and if it was growing, then it's going to get worse and worse and worse, sat in this vein, and probably constrict the blood through my head. So I think that was the reason. And the plan, yeah, this is the plan of action. He said we're going to remove it. We think it's invaded into his skull. He said so. We do need to remove part of his skull as well. And then his actual words were, I don't know whether we're going to put that back yet or not, whether we'll leave it. And I'm like, what? What do you mean? Sort of, oh, okay. You're the expert. He hasn't decided. He's decided he's taking it out. He's decided he's taking a big chunk of my skull out, but hasn't decided whether he's going to put a plate in or just going to leave it. And I'm like, okay, you're the expert. Let's go with it. That's fine. No worries. So that was the plan of action. The surgery will be by the end of the month, and don't forget, at the end of next month, he said, because we were at the 30th of October, so he said by the end of, and that's my words were, what, before the end of November? He went, absolutely, that's the plan. That's the plan. So then he started going into the surgery itself and the risk. He said, his words again, 80 to 85% of these operations are completed successfully without complications. So I'm thinking 80 to 85, okay, 80%. So you'd always go low, wouldn't you? When it's depending on the news. So 80%, 4 out of 5 people have no problems. 1 in 5 do. But then he mentioned that his success rate is significantly higher than 80 to 85. Wouldn't tell me a score or a figure, but put me at ease anyway. Possible complications. Seizures, that was one. Blood loss, infection, and ultimately and death. Maybe I could bleed to death on the table if it was to touch this vein, or if I could have a stroke on the table. There's lots of different, but at that point I understand that he has to give you all the things that could go wrong. And then he asked me, am I happy to go with it? Obviously, I have to, yeah. So then, yeah, he hit home then. Right. Okay. Where was I? So the questions I had then. Well, he also mentioned that there's absolutely no reason why, after all this is over, he did explain that he wouldn't be able to take it all out at that stage, so we would need radiotherapy to get the rest of it out, or to kill the rest of the cells, which is fine. It's fine. So don't forget, at this stage, we are benign, grade 1, possibly grade 2. And about 1,600 of these operations are done every single year with 80 to 85% with no issues. Them other 15% issues could be a small infection, a little bleed through the scalp when it's been sewed up. They're what they call the complications. Right, so he's also mentioned to me that there's going to be some lifestyle changes. I was drinking heavy, probably, I would say 6 nights a week, maybe sometimes 7 nights a week. Not excessively every day, but I'd say 3, 4, maybe 4 cans a night, and then weekend a lot more then. From the 30th, yeah. So from then on, I didn't stop. I did cut right back, and then we'll go into this in further details. But at this point, I haven't had a drink for nearly 6 months now, and again, it's another issue. But it's more about the diet as well. My diet was not great. Fast foods, convenience foods, microwave meals, processed fatty foods. That had to change as well, and we've changed that. So, yeah, like I said, then he asked me, would I like to proceed with the operation, and the answer was absolutely yes. So, right, the medication. So, at this point, we've decided that the tumour is benign, grade 1, possibly grade 2. He won't be able to get it all, and would need radiotherapy to zap the remainder of what's left in. Before surgery, I would need to go on a steroid tablet to help with the swelling, to help keep the swelling down. I'm not absolutely sure, but when it comes to the operation, I'll have done my research a bit more and found out, but I'm pretty sure he was going to put me on another tablet to soften the tissue around my brain, to make it easier. Maybe that was the steroids, I'm not sure, but bear with me and I'll look into that. I thought there was another tablet. And to counteract the steroids, because the steroids will sort of eat away at the lining of your stomach, I was going to be given stomach tablets. Not yet. The steroids was to start 2 days before the surgery, and the stomach tablets at the same time, or the day after, just to interact. I was also asked about a trial that they are looking to, well, they're in the middle of. It was called STOPEM, STOPEM, STOPEM trial. And what I gathered by it was 70% of people who have meningiomas before surgery have never had a seizure, and then after surgery, I think I wrote down it was 20% of them, 70% start having seizures. So what they were going to do is put me on seizure medication before my operation to see if it would help. So like a trial. But the trial wasn't. What they could give me is actual seizure tablets, which are totally safe. They're being used all over the place. It's called levetiracetam. But I could also have a placebo tablet. If you don't know what a placebo is, it's the same tablet, but there's nothing in it. So you take it, but you're not taking anything. So in the trial, they will have 50% on placebo who are not taking the tablet, but think nobody knows that they are, or whether they are or not, apart from the people who are running the back of the trial. So even the nurse that's issuing me with the tablets doesn't know what's in the tablets. So one of them are placebos, and one side is the real tablet. I said, yeah, why not? Let's do it. Anything to help anyone. We'll come back into that in more detail, how that all came around. So yeah, I was signed up for the trial. I signed up for the surgery, and we were going ahead. Remember, we're at 30th of October. We're looking at, and before end of November. At that point, he asked me, did I have any questions? So questions I had for him. I can't stress this enough. If you're going for surgery, or if you're going to see a neurosurgeon, weeks before, days, weeks, even as soon as you know, if you have a question, write it down, please. We did, and it just so happened that most of our questions that we had written down, Mr. Lawson did answer them before we even got a chance to ask them. So you can be in the background just ticking them off, or in your own head ticking them off, and then refer to them at the end of the session with your surgeon and see if he's answered all the questions that you need answering. If he hasn't, then we had a few questions that he had maybe answered but skirted around a little bit. Maybe he didn't know the answer. So my questions were, how long could this have been growing in my head for? He couldn't answer. He had no idea. It could be. He said he's known them for 12, 20 years. They've been there dormant, just lying dormant, and then all of a sudden kick in. The cells start to multiply and it starts to grow. So he didn't know the answer to that. I asked him how long the surgery would be. He's on average 5 to 6 hours. I'm like, wow. I was expecting an hour and a half, maybe 2 at the most. He said 5. And how long would I stay in hospital for? Average would have been about 5 to 10 days. We'll go into what actually happened when we get to that point. But they're the questions I have for him, and they're the answers he gave to me. So how long in hospital? 5 to 10 days on average. Sometimes it's a little bit quicker. Sometimes, if there's complications, it's longer. They just, again, it's as and when. They don't know. So on a lighter note, well, it wasn't a lighter note. It was a serious question for me. I asked him, once he's cut me open, am I going to get stitches in my head or staples? And he laughed at me. I'm not saying this callously. It was a serious question for me. And he said to me, I've never been asked that question before. Does it matter to you? And I went, well, yeah, it matters. Because I've heard that stitches can dissolve and they don't hurt when they're coming out, where staples can hurt when they're coming out. And that was the only reason I asked it. And he said it will definitely be staples. I went, okay, fine. So I've gone through the chance of seizures. So here's my percentages now. So the chance of seizures, percentages, 70% of people who go for brain surgery on average have never had seizures before, especially with meningiomas. And out of them 70, I've got 12 to 20% will develop seizures after the surgery. So it can also depend on the type of surgery, where in the brain it is, and then the big one hit me, surrender your license. I'm like, oh. So as I said in one of my previous videos, I stopped driving. I wasn't told to give up my license. I was told to stop driving. But because now we have the scans, and he's seen the scans, he told me, stop driving, surrender your license to the DVLA for at least 6 months, probably a year, possibly 2 years. So that was like, I've been driving all my life since I was 19. Yeah, so change of plan for everything has to change now. I mean, I didn't drive to the hospital, and I thought there might have been a chance, but when you're told, that's when it hits you. Then it was work-wise, how long off work, what kind of work. They'd already asked me what kind of work I'd done. So it's how long off work, and he said around about 6 to 8 weeks. Some people go back earlier, some people don't go back at all. Some people go back longer, up to about 12 weeks. And at this point, I've got Julie, Steph who started to break down a little bit. No, it wasn't. We were all right until we left the room. So that was the end of that meeting. And what I didn't know was we had 2 more meetings. I didn't know at the time. So a bit of advice: if you download the NHS app, you'll see all your meetings go on there. I didn't have that then. So as far as I was concerned, when I went in, I was going to see Mr. Lawson, work out a plan of action for surgery or whatever there was, and then that was it, going on. But no, one more meeting, actually two more meetings. So my next meeting was with the physiotherapists who were in the room taking notes down. So we left Mr. Lawson at that point, shook his hand, said we'll see you at the end of the month, probably, end of next month. And then went into a different room with physiotherapists. And so it was me, Julie and Steph again, but walking from Mr. Lawson's room across the waiting room to the physiotherapist's room. That's when Steph and Julie broke down, and I'm like, oh. So when I see them crying, it upsets me, and then I'm like trying to hold it together a little bit. Yeah, very memorable day that was. Anyway, they gave us a minute just to gather our thoughts, have a few hugs and stuff, and take in what had just been told to us. That, yeah, even a grade 1 benign meningioma is a tumour. So the way you see it is, I've got a brain tumour. My daughter says my dad's got a brain tumour. My wife says my husband's got a brain tumour. How are we going to do it? We've only just been told this. So now we're in another room, all calmed down, with a physiotherapist. And a student nurse sat behind her, taking notes. So she was nice, the lady, and it was the lady asking us basically about my life, what makes me tick, what my hobbies are, interests, likes. I was alright. I was okay talking to her for a bit. I was like, yep, I like me playing me golf. I did like driving. We like going for a walk. We like our little holidays in the countryside, cottages. So we used to like camping. We can't do that with Julie. Julie's got a few health issues as well. So we don't do the walking as much now, but we do get out and about with as much as we can. And then she said to me, "What makes me get up in the morning? What makes you wanna? What makes you?" And I went, my kids. I've got 2 kids, Jamie, Stephanie. I've got 4 grandkids. My wife and my dog. It's just family. My family. So me and my wife made this family, and I'm so proud of that. And that's where I got emotional, which made Steph and Julie emotional. And the meeting with the physio was to gauge my fitness. So we had the alcohol talk again, and the diet talk about changing things. They're telling me what will happen after the operation, how they'll get me back up on my feet, get me going, get me walking if I need to, because once the meningioma is removed, they don't know how the brain will react, whether it's speech, whether it's in your eyes, ears, whether it starts in your legs, your arms. They don't know. So they said they'll be there for me every step of the way from when I wake up, the day of surgery. So that was reassuring. They just kept bombarding me with leaflets, letters. This is who you need to contact for this. Any issues, you contact me for this. And that was okay. That was okay eventually. Like I said, I can't fault any of the staff at the Walton Centre. No, everybody is just there for you, to look after you and your family, and they'll bend over backwards for you. So we finished with the physiotherapist, and she left us in the room alone for a bit, for a good 5, maybe 10 minutes. And we were having a chat. We all had, again, we had a hug. We all had a cry, and tried to make sense of what we'd just been told. Again, it's difficult because all that's going through my mind is, am I going to die on that operating table? But then I still got to stay strong for Steph and Julie because they're upset as well. So it was difficult. It was difficult. But the next meeting with the clinical nurse, she was nice. Like I said, everyone was nice. She was there to tell us a guide. She'd given us a guide of what we were to expect on the days of that are to come, basically. So remember, we're the 30th of October today. On this day, we're looking at, there's only 30 days in November, so 30 days. This time in a month, we're looking to have my operation. I would need pre-op. That's usually, she's telling us, a week before surgery, which includes some very invasive stuff: blood pressure tests, blood tests, ECGs. Then you got your MRSA swabs. Can't remember the name, but I will for next time when I go through the pre-op with you. And then, so yeah, we have the pre-op a week before, week or 10 days, I think she said. Making sure everything's okay and I'm fit for surgery. That's what it's for. They can't really do it anything after 14 days. Anything could change. So if you have it 10 days before and then you have your surgery date and surgery gets cancelled, you would have to go through the system again, the pre-op system again, just to make sure everything's still the same, nothing's changed. Height, weight, blood pressure test, blood tests, ECG, and then your viral tests. You know, your COVID-19, your I can't remember it. Sorry. Oh yeah, an MRSA. So there was them. And what would happen on the day of the surgery? So what would happen is we would go in at 7 a.m. into the day ward. We've got to be there for 7 a.m. By 7:30, we would be. The day ward was Jefferson Ward, by the way. I'll never forget that. So we'll be going there. At this point, we didn't have a day for surgery, so she's just trying to put us at ease, saying what would happen, what time we would be there. All's well with the pre-op, so surgery would go 7:10, Jefferson Ward, and then we'd go from there. And that's going to be my next episode. Next episode, surgery. Wow. Okay. So I found that a little bit emotional. It's good that I talked about it because that's the first time I've got emotional over. Apart from the day I was there, after that, talking about it and thinking about it. It's good to talk, guys. Honestly. It's good to talk. So yeah. Hope you've enjoyed this. It's been a long one again, hasn't it? Wow. Next episode, surgery. Yeah. I've not been feeling too good lately. Quite tired a lot. So the routine that I've got is that I will write down all my bullet points, do my research, because this was 6 months ago. I'll write my bullet points down and go through the rest of me. I've got all my paperwork that I've kept in the folder. I go through all that. and then I'll just talk off the bullet points because I think it's better coming from. I don't want to read word for word. I'd rather just tell you how I feel, my story. So here we go. So this has been called Meeting the Neurosurgeon, I think. Yeah, and I'm going to put the photos within this video. I don't know why I tell you that, because they should be there. Right, so rambling again. I'm going to wrap it up. Thanks for watching. Take care. Don't forget, if you can, give us a like, a share, any comments, any questions you've got. If I can answer them, I will. See you soon. Bye-bye.